Matt Bernier for RacingPicks.com, taking a look at three graded stakes races from Aqueduct on Saturday, December the 5th. It is Cigar Mile Day, the final grade one in 2020 to be run in the state of New York. To go along with that, you've got some nice graded stakes action for two-year-olds. Let's kick things off. Race number 4, it's the grade 2 Remsen. These are two-year-old boys going 9 furlongs on the main track. It's only a field of 5, but you've got a pretty solid field in here. I don't know that you've got superstars, but there's potential for it anyway. I think a lot of people will look at a horse like the number 2 Known Agenda for Todd Pletcher and company and say strictly the horse to beat. I don't want to argue that this is the horse that should be the favorite, but at the same time, he doesn't have a major edge on this field when it comes to speed figures. I will say that most recent run where he broke his maiden at this trip and distance, one of those things where he and the runner-up, who I thought ran equally as well, Greatest Honor, they put almost 20 lengths, 21 to be exact, on the rest of the field. They put on a show, and they could easily be two of the key 2-year-olds, soon to be 3-year-olds that we keep an eye on going into 2021. But as far as this race is concerned from a gambling standpoint, I think he's going to be overbet, and I'm more interested in the number 3 Brooklyn Strong. This is a horse who's based in the Mid-Atlantic down at Delaware Park, but he has shipped to New York and had success in the past. Granted, it's against New York bred stakes company, but I do feel like there's reason to believe he's going to be prepared to take a step forward here with additional ground. We see Wicked Strong. We know what he was capable of on the racetrack. As a sire, he's about 17% with his dirt routers, 20% with his wet dirt routers. And that's an important piece because if you're playing Aqueduct on Saturday, I think you need to be prepared for the likelihood that you're dealing with a sloppy track. Never mind a muddy track, because it sounds like the rain is coming and it's going to be pretty substantial. So plan accordingly. Look for horses who are either bred to thrive on a wet track or have proven themselves on off-going. Brooklyn Strong, he's proven at 2 turns already. I don't think the mile and 8 is going to be an issue for him. The Dam, she won routing on dirt, turf, and synthetic. So she could do a little bit of everything. The runner-up in that most recent start in that Sleepy Hollow, the New York bred stakes race, came back and won his next start with a 74 buyer. That horse finished more than 2 lengths behind Brooklyn Strong in that most recent start. That was on October 24th. He's 7-2 on the morning line. I would bet him at 5-2 or better. The number 3 Brooklyn Strong in the 4th at Aqueduct on Saturday. That's the grade 2 Remsen. Let's move on to the late double. Race number 9. It is the Phillies version. The mile and an 1/8 race on the main track, the grade 2 Demoiselle. You have a fuller field. You have a field that looks like it has a little bit more pace in here. Many people will look at the number 1 Malathot for Todd Pletcher and company and say she's way the horse to beat. If you're just looking at it visually, you're probably correct. Speed figure-wise, I don't think she's that much better than everyone else, and I think she'll be overbet based on what she's done in the past as opposed to what she's going to do or potentially could do on Saturday. If you don't like the heavy favorite, the horse that I'm going to go with is the number 3 Milfoy for Bill Mott. This is a Juddmonte homebred by Curlin. Curlin overall 18% with his wet dirt runners, so I don't think that'll be an issue for her. You look at this female side of the family, there are great horses through and through. Empire Maker is listed there, First Defense, maybe most well known for being the sire of Close Hatches, who was a brilliant mare in her own right. I just think this is a horse who in both lifetime starts, the career debut, wasn't the cleanest of the trips, had to do a little bit of weaving, bob and weave, shot down to the inside and finished very well. Couldn't quite get up though that day, comes back in the second lifetime start, and when she found that seam at the top of the lane and Rosario said go, she opened up and won very comfortably. I think this is an impressive filly. I think she could do a little bit of anything, honestly. For her to debut at a mile, I think that says volumes about what Bill Mott and company think of her. On the morning line, she's 7-2. I would bet her at 5-2 or better in this spot, the grade 2 Demoiselle. If you're not convinced about her, though, and you don't love the favorite, maybe you want to look at a horse like the number 4 Malibu Curl, who was coming off of a bit of a layoff for Tom Albertrani, but I thought she was also impressive, bringing her maiden up at Saratoga earlier this year. It's a real fun race. I'm going to ultimately land on the number 3, though, Milfoy. We'll move on to the main event. Race number 10. Again, it's the final grade 1 of the year in New York in 2020. The grade 1 Cigar Mile, a 1-turn mile. All eyes on performer for Shug McGahee, Joel Rosario with the mount down on the inside. This is a horse who has been brilliant throughout his career. Unfortunately, 2020 has just kind of gone sideways on him, as it has for most of us. He got dinged up a few times, nothing too substantial, but it kept him away from the races in the afternoon. He came back in an optional claiming event, and while the paper says he won by a length and 3/4, he could have won by much more than that. He looked as impressive as you're going to find a racehorse winning some sort of a race in the afternoon. The runner-up that day came back and earned a 90 buyer in his next start. Third place finisher in 82. Performers also proven on a wet track. There really aren't too many holes to poke in this runner. But he's going to be overbet, in my opinion, in this spot. And the horse that I like, if you want to say he's exposed at the open graded stakes level as a 6-year-old gelding, I'm really not going to argue with you because you're correct right now. But if he's ever going to get it done, I think the 1-turn mile at Aqueduct is going to be where Mr. Buff can finally break through and get his graded stakes victory. I'm going to pick him on top. He's 6-1 on the morning line. I would bet him at 7-2 or better. He is 8 for 13 lifetime at Aqueduct, 11 of 13 in the exacta. This 1-turn mile is not an issue for him, and he's 3 for 7 on an off track. The other reason for me anyway, that I'm not entirely convinced that he can't win a graded stakes race against open company. The other times he has tried to do so, they've been mile and an eighth 2-turn events. I wonder if this 1-turn mile with a horse who has the tactical ability that he does his best running when he's on the lead, but he doesn't have to have the lead. He can sit just off and still be effective. If he can't get it done Saturday, he'll never get it done. But I think the price is going to be right on this horse. The number 5, Mr. Buff, he is going to be my top pick. And strictly from a gambling standpoint, he is far from the likeliest winner. That honor belongs to Performer. But from a gambling standpoint, I'll make him the play of the day on Saturday, December the 5th. The number 5, Mr. Buff, 6-1 on the morning line in the Grade 1 Cigar Mile. I'll bet him at odds of 7-2. Make sure you are a subscriber and you're signed up on racingpicks.com. You get free content throughout the week from myself, Andrew Champagne, among others. It's free and easy. All you got to do is enter your email address and make sure you follow over on Twitter at racingpicks for great content all throughout the week. And again, it's the best price. It's free. racingpicks.com.